Welcome into Jags A.M. I'm Kainani Stevens. Brian Sexton, John Ogier with me today on Victory Monday as the Jaguars sweep the Titans in their series this season, and they now get their fourth win of the year, the Jaguars do. So let's talk about our big things today after game day on Sunday. So who cares is big thing number one. This is a lost season. There's no postseason potential, but it still means a lot to the players, and Trayvon Walker talked about that after the game.
It just goes to show you that the guys in this locker room, we play the game of football for the right reasons. Obviously because we love the game of football, and then we love playing for each other. We don't go to work every day just to come out on Sundays and half-ass things. We come to win, and that's what we're doing. We just stand together as a collective unit and continuously going, no matter the circumstances.
Brian, I'm sure at this point it's easy to say, oh, it doesn't matter, it's this lost season, whatever, it's affecting draft position. But it does matter a little bit to still see this team engaged and wanting to win.
You know, Kai, a third of the roster, maybe 40%. No, they'll be here next year for sure. Those are guys that you're building around. But for the rest of them, and a lot of those guys happen to be on the field now because of injuries and late in the season, every play matters. Every game matters. And you can't expect a team not to go out and fight hard and win. I get that there are some people, and I don't think it's the majority of Jaguars fans, but there are some people who just want the draft position. But the reality of it is that this team needs to win. Young players need to know what it takes to win Sunday to Sunday. And, John, you got to have a culture that says, I want to win everything. You know, Tom Coughlin famously in 2017 said, I want to win lunch. Well, the truth of it is that you want a locker room full of guys that want to win everything they do. They want to do the best they can on the practice field, in the meeting room, and on Sunday. That's what I want to see, and that's what I heard from Trayvon Walker. It made me feel good to win. Plus, I hate the Titans.
Yeah, we've reached a point with this draft pick, end of season, when you have a team that's struggling discussion, that we've almost, as a sporting observation people, talked something into existence that doesn't exist. Meaning, we can all talk about draft positioning, but we saw it all weekend. Teams, the Giants yesterday, playing, they ruined their draft position. They don't care. You know, and there's been a couple of cases, Jaguars in 20 with Trevor Lawrence, where maybe the draft pick mattered to that degree. 9 times out of 10, players and coach, what you're watching on TV does not fit what you're talking about if you're talking about draft positioning. These guys want to win. They're going to try to win. You saw yesterday, 2 teams at the very end were the Titans trying to lose. I mean, they were throwing the ball, trying to get into the end zone. So we won't stop talking about it, but we may as well stop talking about it. And yes, Brian, I do believe that for the guys who are here, this winning and not always losing matters very much.
And you know, Kai, people want to argue about you can't carry momentum over. I'm not saying that there is momentum, but you learn something. Not necessarily even as a team, but as an individual. You don't think Mason Smith has learned something the last couple of weeks with the way that he has played? You can point to a lot of different positions. Brian Thomas Jr., as great as this rookie season has been for him, listen, he's learning something every single week. More winning equals greater potential in the offseason for these guys to be ready for a better season next year.
All right, our big thing number 2 today is going to be down division. Obviously, the Titans and the Jaguars, representatives of the AFC South, but we didn't see a lot of great representation across the league. Nonetheless, they now have an opportunity, the Jaguars do, to go 4-2 in the division. Doug Peterson talked about the importance of that.
These close games, the plays we made today were the ones we weren't making in those close games. And if it goes the other way, then maybe we win a few more of those games and it's a different story. But, you know, I just think that you know, to finish that way, to finish strong, you know, it sends a good message to the team that you can still have a hold, I think, on your division, right? If you do that next week, you got to win the game, obviously, but it just shows you that you can kind of control it. You control your own destiny, right? Year in and year out, and it'd be a good message to the guys if we can accomplish that.
John, things are not great right now with this team, but when you look around the division, it seems that this could turn around quickly, and I feel like this is something that we need to focus on and not think, oh, woe is me. It's a little bit more like we can figure this out at some point.
Yeah, it's a really down division. I mean, when you have 2 teams, 3-12 going in, and you have the division champion, looks like it could finish 9-8, 10-7, whatever, but the Texans feel like a 9-8 team. And 9-8 has won in that range the last couple of years. It's down, and there is what we're talking about, which is a lot of fans are saying, well, if you can just get a little better and get to that 9-8 point, I'm all for that. But I think as a franchise, I hope that whatever decisions are made this offseason is not about just getting to the Texans at 9-8. And getting the Texans is fine. But there are some things in terms of offensive, defensive line. Don't patch this. Get to where you can be the Bills, not to where you can win the AFC South.
100% agree. However, that being said, when you look at the division, that's your way to the playoffs, right? You win your division and you have a playoff spot. And so when you look at this division, the Jaguars have a chance. They've already swept the Titans. They have a chance on Sunday to sweep the Colts, who are a reeling team. And then all of a sudden you measure yourself against where the Texans are. And John, I'm with you. Don't just try to get to the Texans, but they got their doors blown off on Christmas, 31-2. To me, that was just as bad as the Jaguars against the Lions or against the Bills this year. It was a pitiful performance on a primetime stage for a team at the end of the year that wants to surge. It's not a good division. Jaguars aren't a good team, but I don't think the Texans are that much ahead of the rest of the division. So when you look at going with a winning record, 4-2 in the division, people will scoff and say, what does that really mean? It means that you've swept two of the teams, and there's one team that you lost 24-20 and one team you lost 23-20 on the final play of each game. You have an opportunity to get closer to them. So winning in the division, I think, again, into the psyche of some of these young players who are going to be here, into the culture that you're trying to build here, I think that's really important.
Our final big thing today is going to be players who made plays. We've talked a ton about getting more playing time for the younger players and giving them the opportunity to be in these crucial points of the game. And Doug Peterson talked about some of them coming up big at the end.
Found a way to win. Proud of the guys. Just so happy for them and coaching staff, the way these guys hang together. They stick together. There's no quit. They keep fighting. I keep telling them, you never know when the play's coming your way, and when it does, just make it. And you saw at the end there, Antonio Johnson made the play, and you win the game. So there's a lot of good efforts in this game. Defense created a takeaway. Offense was effective and good in the red zone today. Just a good team win.
Brian, Doug shouted out Antonio Johnson on that last play, but there were several young players that had big days yesterday, at least flashes where we hadn't seen a ton of them earlier in the year, but now they're coming on a little bit late.
They were, and I'm going to talk about this in my hot take, but I do want to go forward with the thought on Antonio Johnson, who, John, has had a really tough year. The general manager, Trent Baalke, told me in the preseason when I asked him, what is Antonio Johnson? I was expecting to hear he's a strong safety, he's a free safety, he's a nickel corner, whatever they had intended for him as his role. And what I heard was he's a damn good football player. Okay. Well, when you look at him, you can see the traits of a damn good football player, but we haven't seen it on the field until yesterday. When Mason Rudolph dropped back to throw, I instantly saw the receiver running past Foye Oluokun into the end zone and thought, uh-oh, here we go again. Here's another opportunity for a team to beat the Jaguars late. And then here comes Antonio Johnson. He learned. He learned something along the way. You'd choose what game it was. Maybe it was the Eagles game with his most recent mental miscue. But he stepped in and he made a huge play. Listen, at some point, this thing had to start turning. I don't care if it's the Titans as opposed to the Eagles or the Packers or the Vikings. At some point, somebody needed to do something, and that it was him who hadn't done anything all year long. I like that.
Yeah, if you ask why these last games matter, it's Jarrion Jones continuing to work through rookie stuff. Still see some rookie stuff, but you're all of a sudden seeing a lot of playmaking stuff. I think people probably know where I'm going with it in the end. Mason Smith, it's no coincidence the Jaguars had 3 sacks and that the pass rush feels better now that he's getting interior pressure. If he's what he could be, which is a mid-first round kind of player, meaning that he fell because of injuries, he hadn't been on the field at LSU very much, but he's a first-round, top 10 type talent. If he's that, then you've got 3 of them up front. And when you've got 3 of them up front, you've got a chance to apply pressure. And Mason Smith's really, really important for this franchise.
All right, stay with us here on Jags A.M. We're going to come back and look at some of the tape and the highlights from yesterday's win.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us, and with that comes cooler weather. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business, so give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We need to define a great deal in today's new home market because the so-called great deals that you find on every corner just aren't the same as the incredible opportunities you'll find with a new Dreamfinders home. How about 2.99% in year one in one of Dreamfinder's 15 communities across North Florida? Now that's a great deal. 2.99% interest rate in year one and a beautiful new Dreamfinders home. Visit dfhsalesevent.com for our largest savings of the year on move-in ready homes. That's dfhsalesevent.com.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information.
Football is back. Celebrate with a gay Duval meal deal. Score 2 Roller Grill favorites and a 20-ounce Coca-Cola soft drink for just $4.50. That means you can choose any 2 to pair with your Coke. 2 hot dogs, 2 tornadoes, 2 roller bites, or mix and match. Whether you're stopping for a quick snack or tailgating with friends, this is a victory for every Jags fan. Deal happening now through January 2nd, 2025. Stop by to purchase in store.
A quality replacement window made with Fibrex material, which is 2 times stronger than vinyl, delivered through a stress-free process. Welcome to Renewal by Andersen. Get the peace of mind knowing Renewal by Andersen handles everything from start to finish. With one call, you'll enjoy working with the best people, exclusive products, and superior process. It's the people, it's the process, it's the product. For a limited time, buy one, get one 40% off all windows and doors, plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 18 months. Renewal by Andersen. A better way to a better window. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527613.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Jags fans, you can register your furry friend for the Jaguars official 4-legged fan club for pets presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your pet will receive access to exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes. You can head over to jaguars.com/promotions/4-legged fan club to sign up today.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't say I don't care about them, but yeah, it's definitely a great feeling to be able to do some of the things that I did. I mean, I don't even know all of them, but some of them that I've heard, it's a great accomplishment for me.
Brian Thomas, very humble, but he doesn't not care about the personal records. He's not a selfish guy, but, you know, it is nice to break some of these records. And you hear your name and alongside Randy Moss and some of these other guys, it's getting that very special category. We know he's special, but to hear some of those names around him are pretty cool.
He said it a couple of times that if they were winning, he'd enjoy it more.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, he is all about winning first.
Which is great because he's still very talented nonetheless.
Well, what's impressive is Randy Moss set those records for a 15-1 team that was going. And that
had Chris Carter and Jake Reed, and Robert Smith was the NFL's leading rusher.
And this team is not going, and he's still doing it. So it's
and
really bodes well for the future.
Absolutely. All right, let's give some credit where credit is due. Yesterday we got another win, so let's talk things out. How about a turnover from the defense? We see this?
It was very nice.
It was very nice.
And I didn't know what it was at first.
I needed some clarification.
Well, and it was caused by a guy that we've been asking about, Jordan Jefferson, who got in there and tipped the ball up and made it difficult for the running back to pull in, which left it there for Devin Lloyd.
And you see it just floating there. We've seen a couple that there this year. I know Devin Lloyd missed one, I think it was last week, and some other ones floating away, missed one a couple weeks ago, and you're just like, oh, grab it, please.
And then what did they do? They went down the field and scored a touchdown, which we haven't seen from this team.
And Devin has always been a guy where when the ball is around him, he usually makes a play on it. Sometimes he has trouble getting to where the ball is going to be, but he athletically and instinctively, he is a playmaker, and he made it on Sunday.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about Brian Thomas Jr., as we always do, because he's a pretty talented guy. But how about we saw him in the run game a little bit on Sunday, which was pretty cool. I mean, I know they've tried to use him in that role a little bit before, but he's just so talented in so many ways.
Well, the one thing that you notice when he's running with the ball is his vision, right? You wonder whether a guy who normally runs down the field and turns to the ball can see the field and it evolve in front of him. Well, clearly he can. I mean, and then he's so nimble for a tall guy. He can change direction pretty effortlessly. That's how you saw him fight for extra yards.
Yeah, he's rare in that he's unbelievably fast. Obviously, at some point this year, he had like the fastest time, so he's got that. But he is an instinctive player, and I forget who was talking about this. It was either Press or Doug early in the season, but he's why sometimes it's tough to scout even the best colleges, because there was a lot of things at LSU that he wasn't asked to do, that when he got here, they say, hey, can you do this? He's like, yeah, I can do that. I was never asked.
Just never had to
do
it.
So that's why it's sometimes tough, because the college game, as much as people think the SEC translates to the NFL, the college game is not the NFL. So he's an example of a guy who had a lot more in the tank than he could show in college because of the differences in the game.
And by the way, not every receiver likes to get hit like he got hit on the sideline. I know we've moved on to Parker Washington and his touchdown, and I want to touch on him, but Thomas is a tough guy who's willing to take the hit. I spent time with Chad Hall last week, who talked about Parker Washington and Parker's development. Because when you look at a 5'9" receiver, generally you think, well, it's Christian Kirk type. He belongs in the slot inside. They think he's a better outside receiver. He shows you his ability to go up and get the ball. His hands are excellent. And he's got more pure speed, according to Chad Hall, than people know, because he's still learning the offense. We talk about finding other receivers to help space things out, to make Brian Thomas Jr. even more explosive and efficient. Don't discount that Parker Washington can evolve into that guy.
And we have to give him some credit for the footwork on that one to come down in the back of the end zone like that and get both feet in. He said he didn't know if he got it in, so he wasn't sure if he should celebrate or not.
I'm not sure if he got it in, but they called it.
Well, they called it a touchdown, and they didn't overturn it.
It was a great play to do it, and I think it was one that was called on the field, the touchdown, and there was nothing to overturn it. But it was an incredible job of him to get the foot down.
It was close, but he did get that toe down.
Let's talk a little bit more about Brian Thomas Jr., because why not? One of his ridiculous catches on the sideline, where we've seen him do so many different things and just kind of over the shoulder, running out of bounds, and just it's getting to the point now where we've been talking for weeks, please just throw it his way no matter what. And it's like, I don't feel like there's many times where I'm like, oh, they shouldn't have gone to Brian, because even if it doesn't work out, there's another chance of this play later where it doesn't work out. It's like I still feel like sometimes that's the right play.
Well, here's what he's doing that's interesting to me, maybe only interesting to me. When I was covering the Colts, I covered Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, who I think Marv's in the Hall of Fame. I think Reggie will eventually get there. You got to the point when you were covering it that you got numb to what they were doing, because they did it so often that when they did the spectacular, you just sort of wrote it down and moved on. Brian Thomas Jr. is getting to that point where that's an incredible catch. I wasn't surprised. I just wrote it down and moved on. Barely mentioned it in my story. There's been years where that would have been like on the season highlight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you can't stop gushing about him because he brings everything to the table. And unlike some receivers in the past, you feel like it's going to ascend and you're not worried about it ending.
Well, and so there was a very similar throw later in the second quarter, and Mac missed him, right? I mean, and Mac's not the most accurate deep ball passer. He put it behind him, because you can see that if he just puts it 2 feet further up the field, Brian pulls it in again. So to your point, I was expecting Brian to make that catch, and was disappointed that it sailed on him. We're going to very quickly become numb to a guy who just runs away from people. I mean, he ran away from the corner in the slot on his touchdown, and the ball, now that was a perfectly placed ball by Mac, but he just reached out and made it. I mean,
makes
Mac
it look simple.
Yeah.
Even the end arounds, a lesser athlete, those ends around, A, probably aren't called, but B, end up with a 2-yard gain. He's got instincts, the speed to do it. He makes hard things look easy. Yeah. Most players in the NFL make easy things look hard.
So the Titans came out second half, or after a little bit and kind of tried to make this a little bit of a game, kind of doing what the Jaguars do, where they don't try to get into it until a little too late into this game. But they did get a touchdown, make things close towards the end. And the defense, we talked about some of the flashes from the younger players, but obviously still something they need to work on. And still with the secondary, I felt like that still has to be a focus in this offseason, right? The main number one focus, perhaps.
It's a big focus.
And just this, it feels like every time there's a tight end, it doesn't even need to be like a marquee tight end. They always score some sort of ridiculous touchdown on a blown play.
I haven't talked to anybody. Clearly, that's a bust.
Yes.
Clearly, they were all identifying people to cover before the play, and somebody didn't identify that guy, and that guy scored. So that's happened way too often. Can you fix that with them knowing the defense better? Probably, but it's been every week.
Just guessing that Foye Oluokun was right there in the area, and he jumped into a gap, and the linebacker jumped out on him. So that wasn't necessarily a corner or a safety that was making that miscue. But your point is well taken, Kai. It's just been mental mistakes all season long on the back end of the defense, and it's little plays like that don't have to happen.
All right, more BTJ, because why not? His touchdown on the day, obviously gets tons of receptions, catches, and everything, but it's always nice to see him in the end zone. I think that was what got him into kind of the record books in the sense with Randy Moss. With so many games, it was at 60-plus yards and a touchdown in 8 games this season. Him and Randy Moss, only rookies to ever do that. So,
to get a play that, he made it look really easy. And
it's not.
It's not really easy. So
there's only 4 receivers in history that have had 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. Jamar Chase is one. Randy Moss is another. Right? As a rookie. There's one other. I think there's 4.
Odell Beckham, a lot of LSU
Odell Beckham,
there.
right.
Yeah.
So there's 4 players that have done that. By the way, it's in 16 games. He hasn't done it in 17 because they haven't played the 17th game yet. So he's on par. It is a legitimate comparison to great receivers. He's fantastic.
He sure is.
Yeah.
All right, let's give a little credit to, as much as we do talk about the safety play, Antonio Johnson made the game-winning save at the end there on 4th down. So Doug Peterson gave him a shout-out. We'll give him a shout-out, too. I don't know what this means for him next year. I haven't seen it consistently enough for me to say he's gotten better, because I feel like there was a bunch of other stuff in this game maybe he didn't do as well. But in the end, we remember the final play.
Listen.
Well, here's the point. He's going to... There are guys on this roster who, if they're in their final year, might not be back. But there are a lot of guys on this roster who aren't in their final years, they're going to be back. Antonio Johnson is going to have a chance to be a big part of this next year. So he's got to get better at some of the mental stuff that he hasn't done. But that's a play, as you alluded to earlier, Brian. When you make a play like that, you deserve to be in the mix. And now, whatever happens next year, he's a perfect example of a guy who, hey, if development happens, they're in good shape at a lot of spots because there's ability here, but development has to happen for him.
You remember the Jets game, the 41-yard completion to Davante Adams, who was out on the sideline all by himself. It set up the game-winning touchdown. That was Antonio Johnson, right? So when the ball is going in the direction of the receiver, and I see Antonio Johnson, I'm like, and then he goes and he makes the play. So maybe the light went on, and that can happen. We aren't patient in this game anymore. We want instant results from young players, even though he was a 6th-round pick, probably for a reason. He's got all the physical traits you could want. He's tall, he's long, he's fast, he's strong, he can rush the passer, right? But it was all mental mistakes for him this year. Okay, well, part of that's on him, but part of it's on the defensive coordinator and the staff as well. How could they not find a better role for him in some way, shape, or form? Get those 2 pieces together, and if the light switch has gone on, then maybe you've got something.
See what the changes are in the offseason, how they utilize him next year. Yep. Stay with us. We're going to have hot takes coming for you after the break.
We need to define a great deal in today's new home market, because the so-called great deals that you find on every corner just aren't the same as the incredible opportunities you'll find with a new Dreamfinders home. How about 2.99% in year 1 in one of Dreamfinder's 15 communities across North Florida? Now that's a great deal. 2.99% interest rate in year 1 and a beautiful new Dreamfinders home. Visit dfhsalesevent.com for our largest savings of the year on move-in ready homes. That's dfhsalesevent.com.
Are you ready for a taste bud touchdown? Well, Jags fans, if you're at the bank and craving a snack that's shell-shockingly good, look no further than Luray Peanut Company's boiled peanuts. Picture this, you in the stands, cheering on your Jaguars, and in one hand, a bag of piping hot boiled peanuts. With original or Cajun to choose from, they're so delicious, you'll wonder where they've been all your life. So grab them while they're hot and get back to the game. And as always, Duval! Blu-ray boiled peanuts, where every nut is a winner.
A quality replacement window made with Fibrex material, which is 2 times stronger than vinyl, delivered through a stress-free process. Welcome to Renewal by Andersen. Get the peace of mind knowing Renewal by Andersen handles everything from start to finish. With one call, you'll enjoy working with the best people, exclusive products, and superior process. It's the people, it's the process, it's the product. For a limited time, buy one, get one 40% off all windows and doors, plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 18 months. Renewal by Andersen. A better way to a better window. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527613.
The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguar season at Firehouse Subs. Receive 50% off on any sub when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more.
It's a bold deal for the bold city.
Download the Firehouse Subs app for offer details. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available in the Firehouse Subs app.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Move the freight, move the freight. Magellan Transport voted the coolest office space in Jacksonville, and you can apply online at MagellanLogistics.com. And also, these hot takes are brought to you by Firehouse Subs today. Our hot takes for the day.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I've definitely found a little bit more joy in football, and that's a big credit to the coaches, and they just keep it loose no matter what, regardless of the results. Just going each week and have fun at practice, which is important for me, and obviously you want to translate that into wins, and that will come. So I've been really impressed with not only their football IQ and knowledge, but just how they run the team, and all the coaches really on the offensive side have done a great job.
Quarterback Mac Jones talking a little bit about the success he's had here and just his time coming from New England and working with the staff here in Jacksonville. And I'm going to kick us off with our hot takes. I think we should bring Mac back. I know he's going to want to try to find a starting job. I'm sure that will be his goal. But as a backup quarterback and his role on this team, I think he's been great. I think it's great for the offense that you don't have to change a ton of stuff. You can still run your playbook as it is. And I think he's the personality they need in that room, and he brings something out of the team. I know Brian Thomas Jr. loves his dad jokes, and I think we all think he's funny in different ways on and off the field, but sometimes you need that energy. He loves football. He may not be able to make all the plays all the time, but he played probably his cleanest game, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, great passer rating, I think it was 122. So for me, that's someone I would want in my locker room. I don't know if that'll come to be, because I'm sure he'll try to find something else, maybe a chance to start somewhere else, but if given the option, I would like him here as a backup.
Yeah, I don't know that Mac lifts the play of all around him the way an elite guy does. But I don't think he's an elite guy. You know, I think he's a backup. I like him very much. I wish him well. I think he can be a very good backup. If Mac Jones is on an 11-6 type team, he can win you a couple of games while your starter's out. And that, to me, is what you want from a backup. He's not going to bring you down. So I'd be fine with that. I don't know what. There's so much going on with what the decision-making process will be that I have no way to know if people making the decision will want Mac Jones, because I don't know who the people making the decisions will be. But I'd be fine with that.
Well, I would too, and I think it's going to depend on how, obviously, people around the league see him. All you need is one opportunity, but I don't look at him and see Sam Darnold, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Darnold had bounced around to a couple of teams before he finally Did you see the celebration in Minnesota?
Yeah.
I mean,
didn't know what to do with his hands.
yeah, and they've got a young quarterback. They probably can't commit to him. There's this new trend, and John, you talked about it first, about, finding these veteran quarterbacks who have an opportunity to reinvent themselves. Well, Mac hasn't done that. He just hasn't done that this year. So I think if I had a choice, I would absolutely love to have him back, because I like the energy he brings. I think he gets along with a lot of the guys in the locker room. Part of it is what's the quarterback room like with him in it, right? Do he and Trevor get along? Do they work well together? Because you've got to have some of that. But I'd really like to have him back.
Yeah, that said, I would like nothing more than to be sitting here in a season in the future and watch Mac Jones have the kind of moment that Sam Darnold did.
Sure.
Good kid, works hard, hope he does well wherever he is.
Well, it took Darnold, the Panthers, the Niners, and then the Vikings. So it took him his fourth team, so maybe he has to go somewhere and
work things out a little bit more. Absolutely. John, what is your hot take for us today?
My hot take is don't look back. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people talking, people inside the building, outside the building. Well, they were close. You went 3-9 in these one-score games. What could have been? I get that they lost one-score games. At the end of this season, I don't necessarily feel like this team was close to being a great team. So what I hope is that whoever's making the decision, be it Doug, Trent, whatever, don't look at this as, oh boy, we were so close, let's do a few things and get over that hump. Let's look at what we need to do to get to a level of excellence where you're not worrying as much about the one-score games. I get that everything's one-score games, but there's one-score games that are created different ways in this league. I don't want this franchise at the end of the year to be making personnel decisions based on, yeah, we were that close to being pretty good. I think they need to look long-term and get over that hump. And that's just sort of how I see it.
Listen, I don't think you can look, John, at the secondary and think we can fix this, right? I mean, there are some pieces that you may be able to play with, and maybe it's a schematic thing, but I look and I see some deficiencies there too. You can't go forward with the defense in the way that it is. I mean, it's the worst defense in the league. It's given up big plays on an epic scale. You can't say, well, we can fix it by just bringing in a linebacker or another pass rusher. I just don't see that as a possibility either.
Certainly not a quick fix. I think there will be many parts.
But it's not a rebuild either, right?
No.
It's a retooling. And it's not just a simple little fix. You've really got to be honest with yourself and say, where did we get this thing wrong? And how do we take the good pieces that we have? But it's not a complete rebuild.
Talk a lot. Don't try to patch it necessarily. Just take what is working and then fix the other stuff, whatever that's going to take. All right, Brian.
Mine involves a little bit of looking back, and that is just forget free agency, right? I mean, it worked in 2022 when you brought in Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, and you did some really good things. But last year's free agency class, I mean, Arik Armstead, Ronald Darby, Gabe Davis, I mean, it hasn't worked. Mitch Morse has given you an upgrade in that category. When I watched Jordan Jefferson yesterday, why have we not seen him on the field? I'm not saying that he played this epic game, but he tipped the pass that gave you your first takeaway in 5 weeks. He was disruptive in the middle. He and Mason Smith are two young players that need to be on the field this Sunday against the Colts, and they need to be on the field throughout the offseason. You drafted these guys because you know what it looks like. Now you need to get them there. I want to see some of these young players on the field as much as possible, and I don't want to think that free agency is how you build a team. And the Jaguars have done that, John, for years. The owner has spent more money in free agency than any other team. Epic amounts of money, and at times it has worked. But it is not a way to build a team. And when I watched Jordan Jefferson on the field yesterday, all I could think of is, why hasn't he been active? Why? Because Jeremiah Ledbetter, who's a fine player, right? But he's a free agent. He's going to go somewhere else at some point. I want to build on some blocks, some pieces of granite that I can call my foundation. And I would rather have that be Jordan Jefferson and Mason Smith than Jeremiah Ledbetter or someone else you're going to pull in as a mid-level guy. Draft, develop, trust your evaluations, and let him play.
I want to be bored in March.
Yeah, me too.
That would be nice. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. We'll tell you what we've got coming up the final week of the regular season.
Navigating the current housing market and figuring out your best move when it comes to a mortgage isn't your full-time job, but it's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. That's where the experts at Jet Home Loans get into the game and coach you to your ultimate goal of getting not just the right loan, but the perfect loan for you, the home of your dreams. Jet Home Loans works with you all the way, from application to closing, making sure your game plan is perfect. Make the call to Jet Home Loans and let their team join your team to make your dreams take flight. Visit jethl.com.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The 2024 season is pawsome. Register your pet for the Four-Legged Fan Club, presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your furry friend can access exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Fan club members will be automatically entered to win the Pet of the Game sweepstakes, with 2 Jags tickets and sideline passes for pet owners, and the chance for your pet to be featured on the video boards as Pet of the Game. Visit jaguars.com/promotions/Four-Legged Fan Club to sign up.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more, or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
And that's a Magellan first down.
Move the freight. Move the freight. Move the freight.
Would you like to control your own income? Work at Magellan Transport. Voted the coolest office space in Duval. Bring your talents and let your career flourish. Visit their website at MagellanLogistics.com and apply online. Trust service. Trust Magellan.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information.
Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com to browse all the customizable options. ZipChair is furniture for fans.
Hey, congratulations, man. We talked about it before the game. We said, hey, guys in uniform, guys not in uniform, guys that are injured, everybody in this locker room, we're going to take that field as one. We did. We come off the field as one victorious. Great job. Congratulations to everybody, man. Congrats. Winning games, losing games in the NFL. You find out it doesn't take a whole lot. It just takes a couple more plays. We talked about it this week. We were the ones that made plays at the end, AJ, right? Yeah. Right there at the end. You just keep battling your tails off. Everybody, all 3 phases. Congrats, man. Congrats. So hats off. All right, hats off to that. Before we get out of here, we got to get one, man. We got to get it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Got a victory locker room speech and everything. We're going into the final week of the season. We'll head to Indianapolis. Nothing to play for them. They're officially out of the playoff running as well. And we will be playing on Sunday at 1. That was confirmed. We'll be on Fox as well. So, final week.
And it's 5 straight games for the Jags between 2 teams out of the playoffs at the end of the season, which I'm not trying to pour damper on anything, but
it would have been nice to come in with a better record and have those 5 games.
Yeah, that's where it is. So great win on Sunday, but big picture, a lot of stuff has to get fixed.
Just credit. I mean, Doug talked in there about keeping everybody focused and keeping them on track through this 5-game stretch where it would have been easy just to sort of shut it down. You heard Sauce Gardner perhaps last night in the Jets locker room talking about how guys had shut it down, and you haven't heard that in this locker room. It's no consolation. I'm not offering it as that, other than to say that you had a lot of young guys out there who were fighting and playing hard, and that matters.
Oh, and to sort of pull back on what I said, that absolutely matters very much. That's impressive because you see teams mail it in, And you cannot interpret this season as these players mailing it in.
And Doug stood in front of the media week after week and said, it's on me. When he was asked about how do you get this done, he said, that's my job. And so when I watched that video last night, I thought, well, congratulations. I mean, you've done your job in keeping this team playing. You haven't won all the games that you wanted to win, but you kept them playing, and that speaks well of him.
Right till then, we've seen a lot of teams that have not been doing that. So we hope you guys enjoy your new year. We will be back on Thursday to talk a little bit about the final game of the season against the Colts.